Welcome in, everyone. Today we are talking the NFL schedule. It is out. We are excited. We are here with at Liam_Sags. Don't forget to hit that underscore button. How you doing today, Mr. Liam?
I'm doing good, Jack. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm ready to talk some football.
Oh, I love football. Okay, so the schedule's out, right? The secrets are over. The rumors have been completed, right? And we actually have, we have fantasy reference, which I'll be getting into over this weekend. We also have, real life matchups, and real life matchups are what everybody pays tickets for. And we'll be getting back to the game soon, right?
Oh, I'm buying tickets as soon as I can. I got a bunch of my friends are trying to go out to Vegas for the Eagles playing the Raiders' new stadium. I was like, yeah, well, go get your spot in the end zone lounge. And you know what? I think I'll buy tickets to MetLife. Go check out Zach Wilson later in the year. Only a couple-hour drive. And you know what? Tom Brady, it's probably his last time coming to Philly this year. We got Mahomes coming to town. He won't be back for 8 years because that's how, the schedule works with interseedings. So I got some games to spend some money on, and luckily I got some money to spend.
How sick is that Raiders stadium?
It's awesome, dude. It is so cool.
I mean, I
can't wait to go there eventually. It's not going to be this year, but I can't wait to go there.
I don't know anything about it, but it's just like if you were to look at, if you were traveling and you're an alien, you're coming to this planet, right? You would be like, what is that? What kind of thing did they build over there? What are they doing?
Yeah, I never would have thought in theory a black stadium could be so breathtaking, and just like the way that the sun hits it and the illuminations and like that torch with the view of the strip in the background because of the clear paneling. It's just incredible. It's like its own little spectacle. It's kind of like it's like a landmark.
That stadium's so impressive. Derek Carr decided to dye his hair the same color. Right, he came into the league dark brown, and now he's totally embraced. He goes dark dye jobs in Vegas every week, I believe. So let's talk about the first game. Okay, the Cowboys. Right, what's up?
I said it's time for
Cowboys versus Buccaneers. It is. That'd be great. Chucky's gone dark. That'd be hilarious. And he has the grunt and the dimples too. That'd be fantastic. But we've got the Cowboys and the Buccaneers. And this is what I take away from this game. Okay, it's America's team versus America's boy, right? And Tom Brady. And the NFL, in my opinion, right, wants to help certain players and certain teams. And obviously, they want prime time and they're built for TV. But we did give Tom Brady one of the worst defenses from last year to play in week 1, right?
Oh, we did. And listen, I love it. I know the Cowboys are starting 0-1. It's great for me. One thing about the Cowboys that I truly appreciate is that if you're not a fan of them, you most likely hate them. So I can rejoice with a lot of, well, mostly everyone, unless you're a Cowboys fan. But like being an NFC East fan myself, you hate them just that little much more. And like it just makes for perfect everything. So thank you, scheduling makers, for putting them week 1 against Tom Brady. The one thing I do feel bad about is because like I like Cowboys players. I'll never cheer for the brand. I hate the star. I hate Jerry Jones. I think he's a genius, but I hate him. But I do like certain players, and I love Dak. I've always liked Dak. Like even in the Carson Dak, like I'm gonna kill you if you're a Dallas fan and you step foot in my city type of debate. Like I think Dak is a commendable player, a commendable dude. I don't like what the scheduling makers did to him, but I like what they did to the Cowboys.
I always liken Dak. People, is he better than Romo? What is Dak Prescott? What's his physical? All these things about Dak Prescott. I said, you know what? Here's Dak Prescott in a nutshell. If his ceiling, which by the way, his height, weight are off by very little. If his ceiling is Donovan McNabb in the NFL, you guys got a good one, because McNabb was fantastic for years and he was underappreciated and maybe still is.
I couldn't agree with you more. He is certainly in this city. Donovan McNabb is the best quarterback in Eagles franchise history. I want everybody to hear that.
Yeah, go ahead, say it again.
In Eagles franchise history. He's better than Jaws. He's better than Cunningham. He's better than the dude that won us a Super Bowl. He's better than the dude that got us to the most of the way to the Super Bowl. He is the best quarterback in franchise history.
I think the only debate between Dak and Donovan at this point is who does better Campbell's soup commercials. I mean, that's really, it's who sells the minestrone better compared to the chicken noodle. It's all Campbell's soup at this point. That's the only debate, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I do like Dak Prescott though, and he's a gentleman, and he's gonna fight. Listen, Dallas is not gonna walk into this game and not play well. High scoring maybe. Tom's going to figure it out. He's going to slow this game down if he needs to. And if he needs to speed it up, he's going to speed it up. But the scheduling gods took care of Mr. Brady once again.
Yeah. And, I think there's something to be said for the NFL realizing that, even in this past year, I think something that they brought in nearly $12 billion. And the 2020 draft was one of the most watched of all time. And it happened on Zoom. Yeah. The NFL gets how to market their teams, their superstar players outside of their helmets, and they get how to market themselves as a league by making such like a diversely good schedule, especially to open. There's something to be said. Now, if this was the Patriot, like if this was the year that the NFC East played the AFC East and Tom Brady was still with the Patriots, this would be again a slam dunk first game.
Sure.
Like, yeah. You put America's team, the Cowboys,
air quotes everybody for your listening,
with Tom Brady and the Super Bowl champions. That's a perfect week one matchup. No matter if they screwed Dak or put it in favor of Brady, it's the matchup that needed to happen. It's going to draw a ton of eyes.
And I'm glad you mentioned that too, because the NFL does realize that they're a TV show. They're on your TV. Sure, they like fans in stadiums, and we're all getting back there, and we're going to be all in stadiums very shortly. But, for the ones that can't get there, they put on a really good, they're not putting on a game like the Steelers versus the Niners or some game that doesn't have some kind of implication. You know what they're almost doing too? I do want to state that before you go. They're almost giving you a little bit. It's almost like you used to watch a TV show, right? It would say to be continued at the bottom. Right. If there was two parts to it and it lasted too long. All right. That's what they're doing. They're almost giving you a little bit of flavor from a little bit of heat that was left over from last year. And they're giving it to you in this first segment almost.
Well, I like that analogy. And, the more you think about it, I could make that claim that they maybe try to do that every year. And maybe this new chapter per se, the book of the NFL, you always hear about how do you know if a player is a legacy player? Because you can't tell the story of the NFL without him. I really like that take because you could take it back to the Chiefs and Texans from a year ago, which was the first game of the year for, the defending Super Bowl champions always play that opening Thursday night. And the last time we saw the Texans on the field, they were getting a 51-7 run put on their heads after leading the Chiefs 24-0. So I think, coming into the game, it was coming into week one of last year, they were expecting these two quarterbacks, Watson and Mahomes, to duke it out in the division. And obviously the Texans were just an abomination. But, is it as much as this is the Cowboys versus the Super Bowl champions, it's also Dak and Tom Brady. And there's a lot of I guess respect in those two alone, rather than just the brands, rather than just the teams, that is really key for the NFL in starting this new 2021 chapter.
And that's another thing to be said, right? So Dak, sure, he plays for America's team. Okay, and he's been under scrutiny for his contract and all this other stuff, but he does handle himself correctly. Okay, just like Tom has for all that time, just like Mahomes handles himself correctly. There's something to say for how you present yourself off the field. Your brand gets built, sure, but did you build it the right way? Are you nice to people? Shaking hands? Are you really affable? Are you actually nice? Do you stay afterwards and sign autographs? The NFL notices all of that stuff. I think it's big.
There is one man who Tom Brady didn't shake his hand twice. He didn't do it twice. His name's Nick Foles. That's it.
Earlier, you can't even remember his name. It's crazy. I mentioned Tom Brady. His name comes.
He doesn't need to be discussed in the crux of Donovan McNabb. He only needs to be discussed in the lack of respect that Tom has for him.
That's fair enough. I also think that, so you mentioned Deshaun Watson, right? And we know the turmoil, and I'm not going to mention him because we're only talking about players that are currently a part of the NFL, and I don't believe Deshaun Watson will be much longer. But the NFL did us another favor because although they believe that they're probably, right, because I don't want to stamp my foot on this, probably losing Deshaun Watson, they're gaining a Trevor Lawrence. Right. So instead of giving Trevor Lawrence a difficult task, like, oh, I don't know, playing the Falcons week 1, Matt Ryan's still doing okay. We still want to sell that brand a little bit, right? Instead of making him play a Titans team who's got a good defense and really shows up and they're always prepared. Instead of doing all that to him, they could have given him a Titans in division game, right?
Yeah, they could have, or they could have given him the Colts with a upstart, with a first time offense, just like Trevor Lawrence will be running with Urban Meyer. But the Colts have a good defense and the Colts have continuity, and I do think that this was now if Deshaun was there and he didn't want to be traded from the Texans, if the Clemson successor game to start the year, now that would have just been cool, like Deshaun versus Trevor Lawrence. But I do think you're right. So if Deshaun won't obviously be a Texan, who knows if he'll be in the league. This is the matchup to get Trevor Lawrence going. And like could you see the Texans winning? Well, no, you can't. But like could they win? Sure. Like, I mean, Tyrod Taylor's not bad, and
it's any given Sunday, but maybe not.
Yeah, it's any given Sunday, and the Jags' one win last year was week 1. But this is the matchup to make for Trevor Lawrence, just to get his feet wet. And I contend that the NFL should try to do this with all their top 10 pick quarterbacks every year. I know that doesn't extend to Mac Jones. I would have tried to do the same with Mac Jones. And who knows, maybe Mac Jones, I mean, I don't think he starts week 1. But, like, if you're sure that these guys are starting week 1, like, that Trevor Lawrence is starting week 1 and that Zach Wilson is, why don't you try and give him a easier game on the schedule, just because people are going to be watching that week 1, and just like what? So what if you put Trevor Lawrence, say, against the best defense in the AFC? Trevor Lawrence versus the Ravens or the Colts. That's and
how about even how about go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Or even the Redskins. Their defense was top 2 in the league last year.
Right. Yeah. Put them against the football team. Sure.
Football team. Yeah.
It's just it would be, and all the eyes are on him week 1 because he's Trevor Lawrence. He's the 4th best prospect Mel Kiper's ever observed in 40 years. Fans are going to be going nuts on social media and in the town when when a good defense would be making him look like a little kid, like a rookie. So put him against the Texans, let him get his feet wet. The harder games are coming. He knows it. But this was the move to make. Credit to you, NFL.
And that is right. That is a credit to the NFL. Now they didn't do Mr. Justin Herbert any favors because he's got to travel from Los Angeles to Washington and play that football team. And Herbert should be seasoned enough though, because they just threw him in a game last year and he's like, he's a walking 300-yard, 3-touchdown quarterback. For all of you fantasy guys who don't know what to do, just wait around and draft Justin Herbert in like the 9th, 10th round. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, like,
look how excited he got. Yeah.
If I'm in an 8-person league, or an 8-person league per se, I'm taking him in that 2nd or 3rd round where the quarterbacks are going. I think that I truly believe that at the end of this year, if he keeps up with where he was last year, he will be thought of as a top 6 or 7 quarterback in football based on talent alone. And people got to understand about the Chargers and the Falcons too, for that matter. For people who think that Matt Ryan isn't good, Matt Ryan's really freaking good. Okay, this dude won an MVP 5 years ago, and he's always just chucked the ball around the lot. I get he plays in a dome, but you know what? So does Herbert now. Here's the thing about the Chargers and the Falcons. They lose 1-score games like it's literally their job. It's not their job. Their job is to play football. But they lose 1-score games like it is their job. Now we got 2 new coaching regimes in there, Arthur Smith in Atlanta and Brandon Staley coming over from the Rams to coach the Chargers. And the Chargers have a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. If Derwin James stays healthy and that receiving core in LA is nice, and they just bolstered that offensive line big time, they're going to be a really good football team. They're not going to beat the Chiefs for the division. They're going to be a really good football team. The Chargers will be in the playoffs this year. They're beating Washington week 1 unless Fitzmagic comes out. But I'm predicting a Fitz-tragic game week 1.
I like it. No, I do too. I like Justin Herbert. But they didn't make his job easy. The Steelers, Bills. I have this. This is my changing of the guard game. I believe that Ben Roethlisberger doesn't scare secondaries anymore. I'd apologize to Steelers fans, but you know the truth, right? He doesn't scare secondaries. He actually hurts their running game worse than their offensive line. I think I liken Josh Allen to when Ben was younger. And I like Stephon Diggs as almost like the Antonio Brown. He's running back there. He's telling his quarterback who's open. I can get you yards, right? He does play with the chip on his shoulder. And you know what? I know Dallas is America's team, but you need a blue-collar working man. And if it's not going to be Pittsburgh any longer, or they're going to take steps back, right? I think that, the incumbent Buffalo Bills are a perfect team to add for there. Don't you think?
I do, and I think it's funny that it's Bills Steelers. I don't know if you remember late in last year. I want to say they played week 15, maybe week 14. It was late in the year, and there was this talk in the waning weeks as after the Steelers start 11-0 and then they just start losing. It's Ben's not pushing the ball. Ben's not pushing the ball, and it was against the Bills. Then in the second half, he threw a couple beautiful deep balls that went for touchdowns. Maybe it was to James Washington. I'm not sure, but I don't think that that ability is completely sucked out of him. I don't think he can do it clearly nearly as good as he once did. But do I think he can get the ball 20 yards down the field? Yes, I do. And that's where you need him to get the ball, when you have someone who can take the top off the defense like Washington, when you have someone who can go get your somewhat errant passes like Claypool, and the offensive line is obviously in shambles. You lose 2 starters, one to a division rival, and your center, your all-pro center, retires, and you go out and you get this bruiser running back who I expect they plan to use a lot. I really hope that he seems like a 5-year career kind of back with the way that you kind of envision Steelers football using him, especially not behind this offensive line. You give him Le'Veon Bell's offensive line, well, then sure, go to work. The Pittsburgh Steelers will surely be a wild card team, but that's not it. So I don't know exactly, I don't know what kind of flashes we're going to see from Najee Harris just due to the line inconsistency. I don't know what we're going to see out of Ben due to the line inconsistency. That defense is there, but that division is really hard. And, you can't forget about the Bengals up and coming too. I still think the Steelers are probably better than the Bengals, but would you be surprised if Joe Burrow's healthy, the Bengals take a game from the Steelers in the 2 that they play? I wouldn't. No.
I actually think the Steelers are the worst team in the division this year.
And that's a fair thing to think.
Yeah, and it's because the division's good. It's not because Tom Brady mentioned something that after he turned a certain age, 33, 34, whatever, he's a million, that throwing at practice, his elbow used to kill him. Willie McGinnis turned him on to his trainer that he has now. Right. And that's how when he got into the pliability and the stretching, the muscles, all that other stuff. Ben Roethlisberger just had surgery on his elbow. And I think there's a real problem there. And you know that when you have injuries, even the slightest injury, you start thinking about it every once in a while. By the way, you don't play in warm weather. You play in cold weather. And as it gets cold, maybe tendinitis. I don't think that he knows he can't do it all game. Like you said, maybe I got 4 in me a game. Maybe I don't have enemy in this game. The consistency's gone.
I want to know what continues to drive Ben, because I have to think that the Steelers, Tomlin, and himself all realize that they're not going to be winning a title. And I don't know if Ben really thinks that he can. I want to say he doesn't, because I think that Ben, as a football player, is a decently smart guy. But he's never given him his off-season time to training. He's never given time to the gym, to working out, to staying in shape. to doing the things that Brady and Russell Wilson do to consistently be great. I get that Ben maybe had a little bit more natural talent than those two. Certainly, he had more natural talent than Brady, but he never took the steps to um, make himself great. What's the motivation for Ben? Because I'm thinking back 4 years ago when he's what 33, so like still in the middle ages of your quarterback life to
Sure.
for what we know that you can be this day. And he's talking about like, oh, he's flirting with retirement. He did it 2 straight off seasons, and now it's been 3 straight seasons of you don't hear him flirting with retirement as the year ends. I know this past year there's talk like will he retire, but he didn't come out and flirt with the idea of it and like get the Steelers organization on their toes like he did a few years ago. What changed, Ben? Like, why did you want to quit then?
I
And
actually think I know the answer. I actually think I know the answer. I think, and I'll make this comparison. Carmelo Anthony was fantastic out of Syracuse. In fact, you got all you LeBron lovers out there. I would have gone Carmelo Anthony first with my first pick. I would have gone LeBron James, and then would have gone Dwayne Wade. Okay, and because Carmelo Anthony was more polished, his shot was proven, and he was a good rebounder. He was a good scorer. LeBron needed to put work in. Maybe his ceiling was higher, but at that moment, I really liked Carmelo Anthony. But Carmelo Anthony, again, didn't put any time in the gym, right? He didn't work on his craft. He didn't give that little bit extra. And as he started to deteriorate and get older, right, he just started, his body started to fall apart because he didn't take care of it. But some people look back at what they could have been, had they put in full effort. And I think that's where he is now. Ben's sitting there going, man, I could have been Brady had I put in Brady's effort. And he's starting to put it in now, and his body is not letting him do it because it's too late. You can't wake up 60 pounds overweight and start doing sit-ups when you're 40.
right. It's one of those things that you think about because Ben's won 2 Super Bowls. He's been to 3. He lost to one of the Packers. Um, and it's one of those things that you think about. I think in like the pantheons of NFL history when you think what could have been, what could Ben have been, what could the Steelers have been if he had really put that time in? What could Andrew Luck have been if Ryan Grigson wasn't there and ruined him by not getting him protected? There's those questions that allure to me and to NFL fans like all over the place, and I think it kind of adds to the intrigue. But like, truth be told, and like Ben Roethlisberger is one of the best quarterbacks of my lifetime, and I love greatness. I cheer for greatness, and I'm not going to be necessarily sad when he goes. Say I will be sad when Brady goes. But I mean, like, it's been a pleasure to watch him, and it's not a pleasure to watch him anymore.
It's right. You're right. Absolutely. And that's why I think the changing of the guard is happening there, and it's going to be Josh Allen, and the Bills are going to look fantastic. Our next game I want to talk about, I like this game, and it lends to our part 2 or to be continued from last season, and that's the Browns Chiefs, right? We're in Arrowhead. It's Baker and Patrick Mahomes, a healthier Patrick Mahomes, right? But I don't think that this game is necessarily just a layup for the Chiefs because the Browns are strong. This is not your 5-6 years ago Browns team, right?
Correct. And I got one insanely bold prediction. I don't know if you're going to agree with me on this one or not, but I do not see Patrick Mahomes getting UFC choked out of this matchup. I don't see that one happening.
You and your UFC.
The day after it happened, looking back on it, just because the Chiefs won it, the Chiefs had lost, because Mahomes couldn't return to that game. It would obviously have been a huge point. But like, just looking back on it, it was kind of cool. It was kind of cool the fact that he literally got rolled over, and my guess is his artery got like pushed just like a quick choke because if you put someone in the sleeper, it takes a long time for them to pass out. You got to blood choke them for them to be out like that. And you saw how woozy he was on his feet. We saw UFC on a football field. I'm not predicting it this time around.
Baker gets those troops ready to go, though. I mean, he could have been. I mean, when you go to he got mad at Hugh Jackman because he took a job across town after he was fired. He said, no, you play for that country now. Baker Mayfield doesn't believe it's a football game. To me, he believes it's a war. It really is the game of war. It's our battle flag against your. Like, people think that he manufactured, like when he walked to the middle of Ohio State Stadium and planted Oklahoma's flag. Who were like, oh, he's a jerk. No, that's Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, it's
He
Baker.
actually believes he captured your building. And I think that, like, if you can't get behind a guy like I like Baker Mayfield. I don't. Oh, he's not very good. He's listen. He plants flags on people's fields.
Not anybody's field. Nick Bosa's field at the time. And I don't know. I'm sure you remember when the Browns played the Niners a few years ago, and Bosa got the sack on Baker and did the flag wave.
He did. It was, and you know what? That was funny.
Himself.
And you know what? If you asked Baker, he'd go, "It was funny."
It was funny. Yeah.
You know, you don't have to go, "Oh, well, that wasn't very." Hey, and I think he was interviewed, and he goes, you know, yeah, he got to wave a little bit today. I guess last time I was at Ohio State, I got a little excited with our flag. Like, he was just funny about it. I don't believe that the Browns win the game against Kansas City. I don't believe they win the game. But I'll tell you what, you're gonna walk away from that game and go, I tell you what, the Browns are probably a top 5 NFL team.
Right. And like the smart NFL fans might even think that now. Myself included, I think that they have the makings of a top 3 to 5 NFL team. I think the roster's there, but
yeah.
And I agree with you. I don't think they win the game. Could they be like somewhat competitive? Maybe, but I think the Chiefs, when they play, they're just a cut above every team that they play, even the elite teams. Like the 2 times that they played the Bills last year, you knew who was better. They played the Ravens 3 times in 3 years. You knew who was better. So let me ask that question back to you as like this measuring stick game for how you think the conference could work. Would you be saying the same thing if this week 1 matchup was like Chiefs Ravens, where we think we know what's going to happen, or we do know what's going to happen? It's that the Chiefs are going to win, but could the game be close? Sure. Could Lamar have a good outing? Sure. Could the game be close with the Browns? Sure. Could Baker have a good outing? Sure. How are we going to know that like this team can actually by year's end contend with Kansas City, who starts quick every year? Mahomes has never thrown an interception in September.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. He's really, you know what? He's really, and it's because, we've had this time off, right? And we've gone to vacation and we've eaten dinner with our wives, and we make sure that our families are taken care of. And week 1, we went, man, I forgot how fast and accurate that guy threw. All right, well, and you need the tape and you need the year to go on, because everybody slows down, even Mr. Patrick Mahomes. And when he slows down, I have a little bit of a chance. I don't have a chance week 1. I'm still in Hawaii thinking about our vacation that we had, or wherever we took our trip this summer. I think it's a 3-point game. I think Cleveland loses by 3. I think that's how close it really is. I don't know about what lines are going to come out. I have no idea. My gut feeling is Cleveland looks like they should have won the game, but Kansas City comes out on top with a field goal. That's how I really feel. And people are going to walk away, I'm serious, and go, that might be it. That might be our preview. Again, Bills are hanging out with the Steelers. It could be the Bills as well. But when you're looking at a complete lineup, Cleveland's defense is better than Kansas City's. Cleveland, you can sit there and go, well, Patrick Mahomes is better than Baker Mayfield. It's like, well, that's fantastic. Which Patrick Mahomes? Because Super Bowl Patrick Mahomes is not better than Baker Mayfield. I'm just this past Super Bowl. Okay, healthy, unhealthy. The last guy I saw on the field wasn't better than Baker Mayfield. Okay, that I'm just saying that. Right, he wasn't. He just didn't look right.
Right, and you attribute that to the offensive line too. And like no one's going to be sitting here arguing that Baker's better than Patrick, but like it's clear and obvious now that it's not just about like the quarterbacks are only going to get you so far in the checkers game. But when it becomes chess, that's when those other pieces have to fit in. Like Patrick is great, could Baker? I don't think Baker realistically could ever really dream about doing the things that Patrick could do.
No,
But that doesn't. But that doesn't mean that when like push comes to shove and when the rubber has to meet the road, that things are always going to turn out in Patrick's favor. You like you said, you saw it in the Super Bowl. He got swarmed. He got blitzkrieged, and he had no answer for it. You know who would have had an answer for it? If the roles were reversed, the dude on the other side of the field,
yep.
because he's experienced it for so long. So there's things that come with age, but you're right. Baker would have been swallowed in that same circumstance Super Bowl too.
Sure.
But
maybe he would have run the ball more because Baker will just try to run it. He'll try to play that strategy game a little bit. Patrick tries to put the whole world on his shoulders a little bit too much. And Baker just wants to play. And I'm not saying that Patrick doesn't play football, but sometimes Patrick plays to try to take over just for himself. Where Baker goes, I'll tell you what, we're not passing the ball well. You're not getting off your breaks. Let's see what Chubby's got going on.
Yeah, so to me, and like Patrick's incredible because like his talent, and like you can see that clearly he works hard. To work and to be a great quarterback, but he absolutely placates to the audience. Him and
that's a good point.
Him and Aaron Rodgers, I guess I want to say, are like, I don't want to say like the biggest like quarterback like Brett Favre, like it's like dudes like that, like the supernaturally talented quarterbacks, like alienistically talented, like Favre and like Rodgers and like Mahomes, who like they're like showmen. And like dudes like Baker who had to get it out the mud, and dudes like Tom Brady who had to get it out the mud. They are so much more like, look, I get we're on TV. I get I'm a famous person. I'm still worried about winning this damn football game no matter how it has to be done. And you know what? Something tells me that Patrick Mahomes would, like, besides that week 1 last year when Clyde Edwards-Helaire went nuts, something tells me that Patrick Mahomes doesn't like winning games that he didn't win.
Yeah, that's an interesting take. I like the term, by the way. Get it out. When we bring you up, we're going to do a get it out the mud segment. What do you think about that? How do you feel about that?
Out the mud. That's what this.
I like that. First of all, there's no better football term than get it out the mud. I'll try to have it across the screen so that everybody knows that this is the segment where we're getting it out the mud. Like just the team. You won 17-13 with a safety. You guys got it out the mud. I like that.
Get it out of the mud.
I like that. No, yeah, that's right. We can't look. We like the uniforms to look clean, but we can't win 42-3 every week. So are there any games that stick out to you? Right? I want you to
So week 1, and what I really, really like about a lot of times week 1 they just put all divisional games. Like that's what it's been for the past few years, is usually just a bunch of divisional matchups. I like the fact that they're not doing strictly divisional matchups, and I also like the fact that they're doing the interleague games starting in week 1 now too, because now there's 5 interleague games instead of 4 with the added 17th game and how they're factoring that team in. So a game that I don't think is getting enough coverage in like these week 1 games that is super, super intriguing is Seahawks visiting Indianapolis. And so I love Russell Wilson. He's one of my favorite players ever. The Eagles haven't beaten the Seahawks since like 2008. We've never beaten Russell Wilson. That goes for Carson Wentz. So this is Carson Wentz's first time to try and beat Russ. But like what I'm interested in is like Russ's gripes with the Seahawks this summer. Can you see a little bit of discontent on the field when there is some? Can you see a little bit of like that admonished heat when there's locker room turmoil on the field? Because I think you can. I think you can tell when things are tense, and I'm going to be looking for that as the Colts defense, which is very, very good. And like I don't know if people just forget that the Colts are a team, but like they're like a really good team with a lot of good players. And like, I think that maybe you guys should indulge yourself on Indianapolis Colts football. So they're gonna be trying to get after Russ, and Carson is going to be looking to make the statement of his life. And like, he knows where he's at. He's a Midwestern boy. He's going back to a Midwestern town. He's got the coach that kind of, I don't want to say he king made Carson Wentz, but like in the crux of Carson Wentz's career, he king made Carson Wentz. Besides his college coach in North Dakota, who king makes everybody, by the way.
He
So
does at this point.
so it's a huge game for Carson. It's a huge game for the Colts, and it's also a huge game for the Seahawks and their fans, just to see where they're at organizationally, because the Seattle Seahawks don't know where they're going, even on a week to week basis this year. They don't know what the end game is with this team, and the Colts have all the optimism in the world. It's a really, really great quarterback versus a really, really great talent who only put it together for 13 games ever. Can he put it back together? Can it start week one? I mean, it's hard to start week one, but it's two really good teams going at it in a dome. It's an interesting, intriguing matchup, and I just think that it's going to be fun. And I'm not sure if a bunch of eyes are going to be on it, but I know two eyes that will be. It's this one and that one.
That is an intriguing matchup because it is under talked about right now. But they are both good teams. I mean, they're good franchises. The Colts and the Seahawks are both, ascending franchises, if you will. I'm kind of besides those other games, like there's a couple, the Zach Wilson era versus the Sam Darnold era is kind of interesting.
God, yes, that's
in Carolina
part two. Would you care about this game in week 9? I wouldn't. I know you care about it week 1 because I do too. So that's the NFL doing That's the NFL doing great again. Like that's a beautiful, beautiful matchup. I hope Sam Darnold shreds the Jets. And I hope Zach Wilson does well too. But like, I really hope that Sam Darnold just like eats cake off of that defense, man.
I actually believe that Sam Darnold's gonna lose that game. I think Zach Wilson's the alpha.
Well, I mean, I guess we'll see. I know who's really the alpha. It's that new head coach for the Jets. That dude, Robert Saleh. He is mean. He is green. He's ready to go. And you know what? He forgot he was the head coach the other week. He'll remember some other time.
They should do a UFC standoff. It'd be Robert Saleh versus Matt Rule. Right? Rule versus Saleh. Saturday night.
Wow.
How fantastic would that? Because Rule doesn't back down from anybody. You contact your guys at Bellator and see if you can make that happen.
Cool. Matt Rule, Temple made.
Hey man, Matt Rule is a fantastic coach. Fantastic coach. I actually really I liked what he did at Temple. I like how he went down to Baylor and he didn't shy away from the problems that Baylor had. And he took them all on. He was very good about it. That's a coach. In my opinion, that's a coach. And sometimes
he's a culture builder.
Huh?
He's a culture builder.
He is, and that's what a coach is. For all the things that they talk about, they say about Urban Meyer, he gives people second chances because he's a coach. He likes to teach people, and he likes to see them get better in their life.
Right, and you know what? I respect Urban Meyer. I know that you're not just talking about Tebow in that instance. I just can't do it with the Tim Tebow thing. I don't even want to talk about it. It's how much I hate it.
I like the Tim Tebow thing. Because what he's doing is he's letting everyone know that if you come in, what he's doing, he's not telling you about Tim Tebow really. What he's doing is he's like, hey, see that guy who's working that hard over there? Everybody work as hard on him. That you guys put your how did you put your hand in the dirt? Right,
work as hard as out the mud like Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow is the definition of not having to get it out the mud. He is the most star-hungry person ever.
No way, the quarterback that doesn't throw it.
Right, the quarterback who somehow still has a highlight reel playoff throw. That was just a slant route, people. It was a slant route that beat the Steelers, man. And people still talk about it like it's one of the greatest throws ever.
And that's the beginning of the fall in Pittsburgh, by the way.
It's also reminiscent of Tebow And I don't know if Urban Meyer thinks that like these kids coming in, like what's Trevor Lawrence going to think? Like, oh my God, dude, that's Tim Tebow. No, because he's Trevor Lawrence. Like,
Trevor Lawrence doesn't care.
You know what I'm saying? Well, he should care.
Why?
Because they could have a real tight end. Or you know what? They could have Colin freaking Kaepernick to back up Trevor Lawrence.
Why? He's not touching the field either.
Tim Tebow's there for the same reason that Urban Meyer brought in that strength and conditioning coach from Iowa, because it's on his own volition and because Urban's way is the only way. You want to know what happened to that strength and conditioning coach? And I know you know. He had a racist history. They said, oh, we did our vetting. Shut up, Urban. Shut up. It was wrong. He knew it was wrong. It's why he resigned himself, and I'm sure public pressure ate him alive in that 24-hour span. But Tim Tebow does not deserve to be in training camp. He does not deserve a contract. He does not deserve to make the roster. He does not deserve to do any H-backing, tight ending, coaching, maybe coaching, but no tight ending, H-backing, or quarterbacking for this Jacksonville Jaguars team. It is like call up Brandon Marshall, who's doing First Things First and hosting, doing the I Am Athlete podcast, and he's down at House of Athlete. Call up Shannon Sharp, doing Undisputed. He's still in phenomenal shape. He will contribute more than Tim frickin' Tebow, who can't get out of his own egotistical way. I'm sorry. I don't mind Tebow as a person. I'm just so fed up with this stupid story.
I actually think that Tim Tebow, he personifies what Urban Meyer does do. Yes, that guy in Iowa had a race and we did our vetting. Look, again, you may have done your vetting, and what Urban Meyer does, he sits you down in his office and he asks you to tell him the truth. And whether you tell him the truth or lies, he believes you. But then obviously they have to go further. They always go further. And then he brings you back in your office and he goes, I think it's time for you to do the right thing. That's what he does. That's Urban Meyer. That's how Urban Meyer is. He gives second chances. He likes coaching people. If you make a mistake in life, Urban Meyer will coach you up and give you another opportunity. If you show that you're trying to do something. I like good coaches. I like coaches like that to give people second chances. By the way, Philadelphia used to have a coach like that. His name was Andy Reid.
And Andy Reid is the best coach the Eagles have ever had. And I still contend that if he was here today in what would have been year 23, he still wouldn't have a Super Bowl. We wouldn't have the Super Bowl in 2017 if Andy was still here, and he wouldn't have his own Super Bowl if he was still here. It's a parting that needed to happen. However, I do miss him completely. I love Andy Reid. I have the most obnoxious Andy Reid shirt that I will break out for you one day. Yes. And, but like, I guess I agree. Urban's way or the highway has worked in college, but it's different when it's different coaching an 18-year-old freshman kid who's completely impressionable and coaching. I mean, Trevor Lawrence is still young, of course, but like coaching any veteran on that team, I literally can't think of. They're super young.
I don't think they have any. That's also
right. So I guess then in that aspect, it's good that he's going to like grow up with these guys or grow these guys up in his own image of football. But like, it's a lot different coaching men who have mortgages and kids and stuff like that than it is coaching college kids. And I think that Urban hasn't read the room the right way since he's been hired. And I just really hope that he has a good plan for Trevor in that offense, because I don't know how they're going to be, and I don't know how long he's going to have the pulse of that locker room. Like at some point, just because he's Urban Meyer, like your namesake wears off. Like if Bill Belichick were to leave, or not leave, I guess I could say it now. Like if another 3 years of not great Patriot football, those old guys are going to get tired of that Patriot way that Tom Brady eventually got tired of. And the message is going to run stale. It happens with every great coach eventually. It's what happened with Andy Reid in Philadelphia. And eventually, just because he's Urban Meyer isn't going to be an excuse anymore. And I don't think he's on the right path to being a great NFL.
I like that you brought up Bill Belichick, because Bill Belichick, in my opinion, is the greatest college football coach of all time. Right? He coached up anywhere from 4th to sixth rounders. He didn't have any real names in the house. You know, your Tom Brady's, your Teddy Bruschi's. They weren't first, second. They weren't highly thought of draft picks. They weren't. Belichick coached them up, and I think that Urban Meyer, he's got the right quarterback. He's gonna win games, and I think Jacksonville is gonna have a good season. You know, I really believe he's never lost anywhere he's ever gone, so I don't think it's gonna start now. And I understand that the pro game is a lot different, but the pro game is different for college coaches that want to work the same hours that they did in college. My opinion of Urban Meyer is he'll sleep in the building. He will.
Well, you know the Khans, the Tony and Shad Khan, the owner of the Jaguars. You know they own All Elite Wrestling, AEW.
I did not know that.
Yeah, so they run events right out the back of their stadium and like their little like lounge area called Daly's Place, and that's where they've been running all their events during the pandemic since they can't be on a travel schedule. It was just bought a couple years ago, but you know names I'm sure you know like Chris Jericho is he was the first AEW champion. He's you know one of the faces of the thing. Cody Rhodes is actually one of the owners of the company. And like one of like the CEOs of the company, and he's one of the main faces of the thing. And I you know what, I'm just waiting on for Wednesday night when Trevor Lawrence comes out on that stage, that AEW stage. I can't wait. You know what? After this is done, because I think you'll like this, but Shaq has like a partnership. You know, he's been on a couple episodes of AEW, including in a wrestling match, in a mixed tag match, and I think you would really enjoy Cody Rhodes cross-bodying him off the apron through a table. Shaq went through a table on AEW in the back of the Jaguar Stadium. Look it up.
That would be fantastic. I'm going to check out that video. Well, Mr. Liam, I think we got most of our information out for the NFL schedule. If you want to come back on it and chat NFL or NBA again with us, I'd be more than happy to have you.
No, absolutely. Anytime.
All right. And that is at Liam_Sags on Twitter. Go check him out, everybody. He is also the head of the UFC department at theeverydayfan.com. He's doing big things. Mr. Liam, Mr. Bellator, Mr. Philadelphia. Thanks so much for hanging out with us, man. And we'll see you guys again.
Thank you.